Hey everyone, it's me, the Noosh Wonder, here with the Geekwave, and John Goodman of Galaxy Press.
Very good to be here with you.
So, let me get this straight here for the people watching at home. You are the president CEO of Galaxy Press Publishing?
Publishing, yes. We publish the fiction works of L. Ron Hubbard, as well as a contest called Writers of the Future, which I'm looking forward to talking to you about because Utah has a very special place in our heart with this contest.
Oh, well, awesome. Always good to have home field advantage in this kind of things.
You definitely do.
So the first question that I'm going to ask here is, as a veteran for like cons and like being in the publishing business and stuff, like what is that like having been here for like so long and just like knowing the ropes, setting some standards?
We've been to a lot of different conventions. We've been to San Diego Comic-Con 25 years, Dragon Con, which is in Atlanta. Been to New York Comic-Con, a lot of world cons, local science fiction conventions, and this is our 5th time we've been to either FanX or Salt Lake City Comic-Con. And I got to say that Salt Lake City is my favorite place to attend conventions. Obviously, there's Life, the Universe, and everything as well, which we always have panels at for our Writers of the Future. But the main thing on conventions as a publisher is I'm looking for people who read. And there's a lot more literate people in Salt Lake City than any other place. The next best place is in Atlanta at Dragon Con.
Okay.
What's really good too is that it's family friendly, which is important here as well as Dragon Con. Comic Cons sometimes get very heavily, especially in San Diego, are very like movie centric and gaming centric, you know, and it might be a lot of that here too, but I just see so many readers.
We actually have like one of the things that I always see when I come here is like we'll have spots set up and stuff to where like artists can come in, do like their art stuff. We also have spots for authors, like new budding or publishing companies like yours and stuff. And because we have so many people here that are trying to get into the professional scene of like, you know, wanting to get their work published and stuff, whether or not it's their own original stuff or just writing in general, and that more or less, correct me if I'm wrong, seems like a great window for you as far as being in the Utah Valley and stuff, is we have all these people who really want to get in, and Comic-Con is a great place for them to go and stuff, and it's like get that publicity that they need, to where it's like, here's my book, here's my work, read it, please give me some feedback.
For sure, you definitely have that. You have a lot of amazing fans here that want to try, and they're looking for new favorite authors. You know, and that's one of the things I say about this book here, which we have, is called L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future. And what's special about this is the 33rd year, Utah has the single honor of having 20 winners in this contest over the first 33 years. It probably doesn't hurt that our contest judges include Orson Scott Card, Dave Wolverton, and Brandon Sanderson, who all promoted. Like Scott Card was... he taught a science fiction class at BYU, and then he was followed by Dave Wolverton and now Brandon Sanderson, and they've all promoted the contest, and we've done stuff with UVU and now with University of Utah. This contest is free to enter. It's open to anybody aspiring to make it as a writer. And so, in fact, we have our 20th winner this year, first place winner from Utah as well, from Salt Lake City, who's actually the wife of one of our earlier winners. So, but anybody that's aspiring to be a writer, this contest, like I said, it's free to enter, and it was created specifically to give that opportunity for aspiring writers to get that break. Orson Scott Card in his book on writing says, be sure to enter this contest. Yeah, writersofthefuture.com, and that gives also how you upload your entry for either the writer contest or there's an art contest as well, Illustrators of the Future. And one thing that's really great about this is you have 12 writer winners, but you also have 12 illustrator winners, and the illustrators are assigned a story to illustrate, and so this is their commission. Basically, this is their first commissioned work, and it's just brilliant artistry that you have in here. And there's winners from all over the world. This year's grand prize winners from Poland.
Really? Wow.
We have entries from over 160 countries.
Well, the fact then that people from Utah are the ones that are winning that is even more impressive than I initially thought.
Yeah.
So L. Ron Hubbard has been gone for quite a while. And he was the original author and stuff for like Battlefield Earth that ended up getting made into the movie and so forth.
Right.
How does like helping to have the name of a very well-known author help or detract from like getting your message particularly across?
Well, in the 1930s and 40s, and I'll just give a little bit of the backstory because people may not know L. Ron Hubbard's history as a writer. He was one of the most popular writers of fiction in the United States in the 30s and 40s. He wrote approximately 100,000 words a month, writing 3 hours a day, 3 days a week. He published 92% of his work first draft for submission. He was, amazingly prolific. He wrote in adventure, mystery, suspense, science fiction, fantasy, westerns. And at the end, when he was brought in to write science fiction by Street and Smith, which is the publisher that had a new magazine called Astounding that they were about ready to publish with an editor named John W. Campbell Jr. Campbell was told to take anything that L. Ron Hubbard and Arthur Burke submitted. They were both top-notch adventure writers at the time. So what we now know as the golden age of science fiction wasn't the golden age of science fiction when it first started in the 40s. It was a bunch of authors who were coming with a lot of amazing ideas, and a lot of the authors' day job were the rocket scientists. So these guys are coming with different ideas, and the thing that was missing prior to that was the ray guns, robots. There weren't people involved with science fiction, so they were brought in to add people into science fiction. So when they did that, that revolutionized what science fiction was, and that's now what we know as the golden age of science fiction. So when he came out with this book here, Battlefield Earth, that you mentioned, he wrote it in 1980 in celebration of 50 years as a writer. It hit the New York Times bestseller list in 1982, and so the contest, Writers of the Future, was launched in 1983. And the idea there was, as had been done before, you had the big-name authors would pay it forward, and they would pick up aspiring writers and say, okay, let me give you some tips, and they'll use their street cred to help them out. So that's what he was doing here. And the fact is, he remains one of the highest paid authors in the world even today, even though he passed in 1986. So it very much helps. The last 3 volumes here have all been national bestsellers. So every author that gets published in here is automatically a national best-selling author as a result of being published in this book. It is the premier anthology for science fiction. It sells more than even the established author anthologies. But here, the fact that you've got 12 new writers getting that break, it sets them up for an amazing future. Patrick Rothfuss, maybe you've heard of him as a fantasy author. He's very, very famous now. His last book was number 1 in the New York Times bestseller list. But he was having trouble. He couldn't get anybody to take his book. When he submitted, someone told him, take your novel, pull a short story out of it, submit that. He did. He won. One of our judges, Kevin Anderson, introduced him to his agent, and the rest is pretty much history. But Brandon Sanderson entered the contest when he was starting, and that's what gave him that vote of confidence to keep on persisting, because he was almost ready to give up. And look at him now.
Yeah, writing is like a really, even me who doesn't write a whole lot, but it has many, many friends who try to write, whether or not it be trying to go professional, whether or not it's just, in their free time. Trying to write something and coming up, especially when you have to do it on a deadline, it's just hard work. You have to dedicate your life and your soul, and you have to have passion for it. So if you keep on going years and stuff without getting noticed for your passion, that can be a real downer on just having enough oomph to continue.
That's right.
So for writers and artists to have the ability to go on and not really have as much fear on whether or not they can get it out, and therefore just focus not on the social media that we have nowadays of just trying to get people to know in a flood of information, but to be able to go to a publishing company like yours and have that already be taken care of so they can just focus on writing the best story that they can.
That's right. And we do a lot with Life Universe and everything here in the Salt Lake City area. But I know I'm anticipating there's a lot of aspiring writers and artists listening to this podcast, and you have nothing to lose and everything to win. It's the way it breaks down is 4 3-quarterly sections for each year, and each quarter 3 winners are chosen. It's the entries are submitted. The contest administrator takes off the name, and so all the judges ever see is a number and the story. So it's by merit alone that it is chosen. Dave Farland is the first reader. He's the one that sorts through all the stuff that comes in, and then gets passed on to the other judges. I've already mentioned that 2 of them, you know. And so every quarter, and you'll hear within 3 months, you know, if you placed or not. But the contest is so well regarded right now. If someone is acknowledged as a finalist in the contest, not a winner but a finalist, which could be upwards of another 100, 150 people, there's a lot of entries in this contest. But even
especially if it's national.
Yeah, well, it's international, global,
Thank
yes. Even if someone says that they're on their pitch letters now, if they say that was a finalist in Writers of the Future and submit that with their story to any editor, their work gets taken out of the slush pile. It's so well regarded as a contest now. We've had people who have sent in a story, had it rejected, then got acknowledged as a finalist in a contest, wrote I was a finalist in Writers of the Future, send the same story and sold it. Just because of that credibility that they get from Writers of the Future. So for anybody who's watching this who is an aspiring writer or an aspiring artist, you can go to writersofthefuture.com. There's no entry fee. The idea of starving artists is very real to us, you know, and especially if you're a student, but there's no age, limitation on this thing. So pretty much the youngest we've had as a winner for the writing contest is like 20, 21 years old. But we've had people who have been retired from their business, wanting to start a new,
passion.
Who've won the contest.
All right.
So, because we have no idea, anything about them. So we find out once we say, okay, here are the winners, where they're from, and anything about them, their age, their sex, their nationality, their ethnic, any of that type of stuff. Winning the contest is like the beginning, because then the 12 winners who are selected are flown out to Hollywood by the contest, put up for a week-long workshop with these same judges who are the teachers.
In their field.
They're the experts, but they're the teachers of the contest. And so they'll give the workshop, them and about another 15 other judges who come in. And then there's a massive Hollywood Oscar-level awards ceremony, black tie event, that they all are presented their awards and their prizes from these judges, and the grand prize winner of the writer contest and grand prize winner of the illustrator contest will each also receive a $5,000 check on top of that.
Well, thank you so very much for coming down, talking to us about Galaxy Press and the competition that you have. By the way, the link for that entry will be down in the description below. So if any writers and stuff or illustrators are listening to this video and stuff and want to get interested and want to get involved, just hit down there and stuff. You can contact you?
Sure, you can contact me. It's easiest on Facebook. I'm definitely there, John Goodwin. But it's also, I'm the one that handles all the social media. So on Writers of the Future, Galaxy Press, and Battlefield Earth, I run all the social, Twitter and Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so very much for coming down. We appreciate talking to you.
Great.
Maybe you'll even come up to the University of Utah and give a talk there.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate it. Have
Thanks.
a good con. Geek out, guys.